Welcome back to another episode of It Is What It Is on WTOP 10. I'm Peter Peden.
And I'm Zach Mash. We've got a ton of topics to discuss today, so let's not waste any time. Let's start the show off right with our quick takes from the week that was. The Jets somehow managed to sink to a new low Sunday afternoon, losing to the lowly Dolphins, who captured their first win of the season. This continued what has been an absolutely abysmal season for Gang Green. Coach Adam Gase has come under fire for it all, as young quarterback Sam Darnold looks to have regressed from a promising rookie season. Should Gase be one and done?
Yes, I think it's out of the door for Adam Gase. I know everybody has like the drama of like what his eyes are like and stuff like that, and what he's doing, like sitting
Pretty
down.
crazy, let's be honest.
Sitting down on the bench during a game while you should be like motivating your team or anything. But I think the other reason is you lost to the Dolphins. They were 0-7. There's no reason you should be losing to them, even if it's at Miami. You're supposed to be an offensive coach.
Pathetic.
You're supposed to be an offensive coach, and you just can't even score more than 20 points against the Dolphins. Absolutely pathetic. You should be out the door.
Just a putrid performance for the Jets this weekend. You can't sugarcoat this at all. Gase, the players look completely unmotivated, and how could they not be? They've been in trade talks all week. The Gase just does not look like he's getting to them at all. He looks like he's lost the locker room. They look like they're playing with no energy whatsoever, as they always do, because they're the Jets, and that's what they do, is lose.
Yeah, totally agree. All right, now let's go over to Cam Newton. News came out this weekend that Cam Newton's heel injury is even more serious than they thought before. With Newton having a high cap hit and rookie Kyle Allen leading the Panthers to wins, is Newton's time in Carolina coming to an end?
You know, I think ideally they would like it to, but I'm not sure if they can make it happen. Who's going to trade for Cam Newton at this point? He's injured. Last time we saw him play, he was ineffective. I think they'd love to hand the reins over to Kyle Allen for good. I think they'd love to do that. The offense has been humming. Christian McCaffrey's having an MVP caliber campaign. I think they'd love to move on. Kyle Allen has been throwing the football well. He's been utilizing their weapons properly.
Here's the
but
thing.
Can they get rid of Cam Newton? Is there a chance for them to do that?
Cam Newton's an MVP player. He won the MVP before.
Yeah,
he might be able to bring it back. I do agree that I think the Panthers should move on with Kyle Allen, but I think they might be able to trade him for like a team, maybe like a fourth or a third round pick.
You'd have to be pretty desperate to do that.
I think the Broncos seem like they can't draft a quarterback. Winston is having his issues. I mean, Miami's having all their issues. Miami could draft Chase Young, pick players around him, and then build it up.
I don't think
draft.
that's a great fit for them.
It might
at
be.
his age. I'm just going to say that. Moving on to basketball, the Warriors are 1-5 after a tough 6 games to start the season, after losing Steph, Draymond, and D'Angelo Russell to significant injuries. Do you think the Warriors are going to miss the playoffs?
Yeah, I think they will. The West is really tough this year. Steph Curry gone. He's your scoring option with Draymond Green and D'Angelo Russell. If they're healthy, I don't think they're going to be scoring points. Draymond Green's not a scorer. He's like a Dennis Rodman type. He might pass the ball. He can hit an occasional three, and he's a great defender. D'Angelo Russell, I don't think he can lead a team to the playoffs like he did with the Nets in the West. The West is a stacked conference, and I don't think the Warriors are going to come through. And another thing is Steve Kerr, I don't know how great of a coaching job he is because he's had the likes of Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Kevin Durant for the last 4 years.
As much as I enjoy disagreeing with your Warriors takes, I got to agree with you on this one. You can barely even tell who three of the starters are in the Warriors starting lineup this past week. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I just don't think they're going to have enough time once everyone gets healthy.
Yeah. All right, let's go back to football. Last night, the Cleveland Browns lost to the Denver Broncos by a score of 24-19. On a pivotal 4th and 5, Browns quarterback Baker Mayfield didn't throw to a seemingly wide-open Odell Beckham Jr. After the play, OBJ was caught standing alone and shaking his head in frustration. Is this a problem for the Browns?
Odell Beckham Jr. causing trouble with the team on the sidelines. This is just a complete shock to me. I would have never expected this to happen.
Overreaction.
Yes, it absolutely is a problem for the Browns. This is exactly what's happened to my Giants before. And Odell Beckham Jr. is a good teammate. I'm not going to deny that. But when he does this to his team on the sidelines, it just doesn't help anything. It doesn't do anything to help. It puts the attention on him. It puts negative attention on Baker Mayfield. It creates some conflict in the locker room, whether spoken or not spoken, and it's just not good for the team.
Okay, well, there's always attention on Odell Beckham Jr. no matter where he goes
because he creates
it. No, because he was a star wide receiver for one of the biggest cities in the world,
and
the Giants.
He certainly knows how to draw attention to himself.
Here's the thing: he was standing alone. He wasn't like screaming to Baker. He wasn't screaming to Freddie Kitchens. He was just standing by himself, shaking his head. I would rather there be a player on your team shaking their head in frustration than somebody sitting on the bench just smiling away when you're down by 5 and you're going to lose your 6th game.
I'm not saying smile away. I'm saying
yeah, but
there's a more
what do you want?
way
You want
to handle
just
what's going on.
Want
in
him just to stand
and
still or whatever?
Shows that he hasn't grown at all since his time in New York.
When Odell was in New York, he was like kicking the nets and doing all stuff. He's just standing. Can he just not stand?
Now he's
Can he
just
not
shaking
shake
his head like a baby.
So he can't shake his head. So
No.
when a coach is just shaking
When
his
you
head,
know that the
if he,
microscope
so if
is
a
on you at
coach,
all times, you can't do something
okay,
like
so if
that.
a coach is shaking his head, that's unacceptable.
The coach is a little bit different than
How's
the
it?
player.
How's it any different?
Because they're not doing it to shame a teammate, which is what.
Well, how
it
do you know
comes
they're
out to Baker
shaming a player?
Mayfield.
They're shaming a player because the player made a mistake.
We'll just have to agree to disagree on that one.
All right, stay tuned for more It Is What It Is. After the break, we will get into our meat and potatoes.
Welcome back to It Is What It Is. Time to get to our main part of the show. That, of course, is the meat and potatoes. After beating the previously undefeated New England Patriots by a score of 37-20 last night, the Ravens seem to have made a statement to the rest of the AFC. With Lamar Jackson playing at an MVP level and the Ravens shutting everyone down in sight, is there a real chance for them to take down their conference's top teams?
I think they will. I think they could take down the teams like the Patriots, like they just did. But I don't think they can beat the teams like the Kansas City Chiefs.
See, I think they could beat the Chiefs.
Well, I don't think they can because the Patriots don't have that great of an offense. I mean, they're not running the ball well, the offensive line isn't protecting, and their wide receivers aren't getting enough space. And Tom Brady, the GOAT, is not hitting the throws right now. And I think the teams like the Chiefs will give a real test to the Ravens' defense. And I think when the Chiefs rack up the points against the Ravens, maybe in the division game or the championship game, I think they might be up like 14 points. I don't know if Lamar Jackson can bring this team back by throwing the ball. He might be able to bring this team back by running the ball, but I don't think he can come back with throwing.
I disagree with you on that one, and I was a skeptic of Lamar Jackson coming out of the draft. I really was. But after seeing him last night and seeing him the way he started the season,
Yeah, but he
this is
wasn't
a
throwing the ball.
dynamic player throwing and running the ball.
Not last night.
First of all, he looks like Michael Vick running the ball, and that's just
Okay.
amazing to watch. It's
Okay,
just,
who does he look
it's
like throwing
electric
the
to
ball?
watch. And throwing the ball, he can make the throws. He has
Well,
the ability
but
to
he
make
was missing the
throws
throws last night. They
Where?
were wide open throws.
Give me an example. Where was he making the
on
missing
just a
the throws?
random route. He overthrew
Okay,
the guy.
every quarterback does that. He can throw the
Not-
football.
not wide
I've
open-
seen him
not
make the
wide open
throws.
players.
He hits Marquise
Not in big
Hollywood Brown
games.
for 2
Oh.
touchdowns way down the field in week 1.
Oh yeah,
He
who
can
did
throw the
who did they
football.
play in week 1? The Dolphins. Oh yeah, that's right. They
Okay,
played
so
the
that
Dolphins.
means that means that you can throw 50-yard bombs just because
Mitchell
you're playing the
Trubisky,
Dolphins?
Mitchell Trubisky, if they're wide open, you should be able to hit somebody
He wasn't
who's wide
wide
open.
open. He
Yes,
can
he
throw the
was.
football.
Okay, so so Marquise Brown must be a great wide receiver then.
He is.
Okay, so he's probably a top 5 wide receiver.
Maybe
And
he is.
Lamar Jackson's the best quarterback, please. Sorry, my bad. All right, let's go back to the Browns. After losing last night for the 4th straight week to the Denver Broncos, if the Browns don't turn the season around and miss the playoffs, is this season considered a bust?
Absolutely, it's a bust. With how much hype was going into this season, how could you view it as anything other than a major bust for the Cleveland Browns? Cleveland's back, Cleveland's back. Finally, Cleveland football is going to have something to be proud of. Not the case. Just like every other year, here they sit at 2-6. They're a team in turmoil. Who would have thought that having a team of superstars with personalities with a rookie head coach would go wrong? I certainly wouldn't have. Actually, I did.
No, you didn't.
But
You didn't, though.
it's
Stop
not
playing
going
yourself.
well, and it was very predictable. It's not going well, and they're struggling right
It
now.
wasn't predictable, but you
was
have to
very
realize they had a strong schedule. You play the NFC West. You play the AFC.
They need to
you
beat
play
teams like the
AFC
Broncos,
East.
though, no?
Yeah, they do, but that's a away game. I'm not saying they're playing well. I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs, and I do consider the season a bust if they end up not making up the playoffs. But there's still time to turn it around. You still got Baker Mayfield and Odell Beckham Jr.
Baker Mayfield, I'm not sure that's something to be proud of at this
Oh
point.
yeah, because he didn't lead the league in passing touchdowns for a rookie.
Maybe
He doesn't
the
have
league figured him out.
he doesn't have the all-time record in passing touchdowns for a rookie. Oh
Okay,
yeah, that
what's-
doesn't matter.
What's he
Let's
done
not-
for me lately? What's he done for me lately? Not
I don't
very
know.
much is the answer.
But he can always turn it around.
Moving on to the NBA. We are now 2 weeks into the season this year, and things haven't quite gone exactly the way most fans thought it would, with plenty of eye-raising teams from both conferences and the league looking up for grabs for the first time in a very long time. With that being said, who would be your biggest surprise so far?
Well, I don't think the league is up for grabs. I think the Lakers and Clippers and the Bucks and Raptors are going to be the two teams
That's
left.
a lot of teams up for grabs?
No, it's
That
not.
have a chance
Okay,
right there?
who was in the Eastern Conference Finals last year?
The Bucks and the Raptors.
Okay, so that's not anything. And LeBron is on the Lakers, and if he wasn't hurt, they would have been in the finals. And then the Clippers were also good, and that's Kawhi.
Wait, hold on,
when I'm answering this
If
question, when
LeBron
I'm
wasn't
answering,
hurt, the Lakers would have been in the finals.
yes, KD didn't play last year. Let's
You
get on to
think
the subject.
That
Yes.
LeBron not being hurt would have brought them to the finals.
Do you realize that
They
when
didn't even
LeBron
make the playoffs.
do you realize when LeBron was on the team they were the 3rd seed?
Okay, so that's going to bring them to the
Okay,
finals
so they're going to be the
magically?
3rd seed, and then the Warriors were injured. LeBron
They
can
clearly
take down
didn't
the
have
Warriors
enough
with
depth
a
if they're
healthy
crumbling
stall.
like that.
Who?
The Lakers.
Okay.
They didn't have enough depth.
yeah, you're just a casual NBA fan. I can't discuss this with you. But
Okay. All right. Okay.
the team that I'm thinking about, the Heat. They're 5-2. Jimmy Butler's coming back. They beat the likes of the Rockets. They blew them out of the water, and they beat the Bucks, who I think is going to be in the conference conference finals in the Eastern Conference. How about you?
My surprise team would be probably the most surprising team in total right now would be the Phoenix Suns. They have played really good ball cohesively as a unit. They've been in the dumpster for years and years and years. Devin Booker is playing like the superstar that he can be. Additions such as Dario Saric and Ricky Rubio seem to really be making a difference for them. And they don't even have DeAndre Ayton right now, who's injured. Yeah. So it's really impressive to see a young team coming together the way they have. And it's really been a surprise, and I think kind of a good sight to see.
It's been impressive, but I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I think they're going to be like the Kings.
Probably
like they
not,
were
but
last
let's just
year.
see how far this goes.
The reason why I put the Heat is I think they're going to make the playoffs, so I think that's going to be a little bit more impressive. All right, tomorrow the College Football Playoff Committee releases their top 4 rankings. After an exciting 10 weeks of college football, what 4 teams do you have making it?
I honestly think that the 4 teams that are going to make it are the top 4 teams right now in the league.
Typical.
Okay, getting past that for a second. LSU, Alabama, Clemson, and Ohio State are the 4 teams that are going to make the playoff. If you look, those teams I think are the teams that are playing the best and the teams that are most talented right now. You look at LSU, they've passed every test that they've had so far. Joe Burrow is playing at a Heisman caliber level. He's making himself into a first-round pick, which would have been unimaginable.
Well, he's already a first-round pick.
Before the year. He's definitely making himself into a first-round pick. Alabama has one of the most talented receiving corps in the league right now.
Okay.
Maybe that we've ever seen, with Ruggs and CeeDee Lamb, and obviously Tua Tagovailoa, probably the number 1 pick in this year's draft, thrown to them.
All right,
they don't have any problems.
Here's where I disagree.
On Ohio State and Trevor
Here's where I disagree. I have your 3 teams: LSU, Ohio State, and Clemson. I don't think those guys are going to lose. I don't think anybody in the ACC is as good as Clemson or even can match them. So I think they're going to go with a 13-0 record, and that's going to be good enough to get them into the playoff with a conference championship and a perfect record. Ohio State, I think the same thing. I think they're going to beat Penn State, and I think they're going to win their conference championship. So that's 2 teams. Now over to LSU. I think they're going to beat Alabama this weekend, and that's going to be impressive.
You think LSU is going to beat Alabama?
Yep, I do. I think they will.
Okay.
That's going to be an impressive win. That's going to cement their 1 seed, and then they have to finish it off by probably beating Georgia in the SEC championship game. So I think they're going to go 13-0 too. Now with Alabama, if you lose at home, I don't think you're going to make the playoffs. Even if it's LSU. Here's why. Here's why. Let me make my point. Let me make my point.
Fair enough. Go ahead.
Oregon out of the Pac-12. They're 12-1, or they would go 12-1 if they win. And then if they win the Pac-12, and they only have 1 loss, that's better than having 1 loss and not having a conference champion.
I would rather
take losing at home.
I would rather take the second place SEC team with the talent of Alabama over the Pac-12.
But that's not what it is. That's not what it is. It's who played better and who has a better record. And Alabama hasn't played anybody as good. And guess what? They still have to play
Alabama just talent-wise is better than Oregon. A team like Oregon.
Okay. Well, let's just give the rings to Browns then, because they have great talent. But so let's just give them a playoff spot because they're really talented. So let's give them a spot.
Right. Anyways, after the break, we'll get into our biggest winners and losers.
All right, welcome back to It Is What It Is. Let's get back to our biggest winners and losers from this week. All right, Zach, who is your biggest winner?
My biggest winner is Jimmy Garoppolo. He finally did.
The player.
He finally did what I think we've been waiting for him to do collectively as NFL fans, and that is win a game in the 4th quarter with him being the reason why they won. That is the key for them. It was against Arizona, who's not the best team, although they've been okay this year. But Jimmy Garoppolo made some throws in that 4th quarter, watching that game, that showed that he can potentially be that franchise quarterback that they want him to be. Once the Niners get into the playoffs, they need Jimmy Garoppolo to make those kinds of throws. They need him to be able to make those throws in tight windows and clutch situations. That's what they need from him. They can't rely on all the other facets of their team to win games, and I think that's really important that they saw that out of him in that game against the Cardinals.
Well, here's the old motto. Offense wins games, defense wins championships. So with the 49ers defense, I think that they can rely on that in the playoffs. But like what you said, they do need a quarterback to take them to the promised land, and I think he can do so, especially if they have home field advantage.
Yes, absolutely. They do. Who would be your biggest winner this week?
Oh, I have Carson Wentz. Great game against the Bears. I was wondering if I should start him in fantasy football because the Bears are such a talented defense, and he showed up again. They have next week after the bye, they had the Patriots, and that's going to be another test. People were thinking about Carson Wentz. Oh, Dak Prescott's better than Carson Wentz.
I don't think anyone ever said that.
Yeah,
I certainly
people
didn't say that.
people have said that. People have said that.
No one
Don't get
knows
me
what
wrong.
they're
Don't get
talking
me
about
wrong.
ever
Will
said that.
Kane, Skip Bayless, they've said that. But
That's
also
true.
people were saying that they should keep Nick Foles. I think Carson Wentz is the quarterback of the future and the quarterback now for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I think if
I
they can
agree, he's
turn
a
it
very good
around,
player.
I think they can turn it around, win the division, and I think they might be a underrated team in the playoffs, and they might be able to sneak their way into the title game, maybe even the Super Bowl, if that defense can hold on and the wide receivers can start catching the ball.
If they're healthy, they've got a shot, but I don't know besides that.
Yeah.
That's pretty much,
Yeah.
if they stay healthy, they got a shot.
Yeah, that's every team though. So,
Yeah, but especially them, they've been missing their top corners for most of the season.
well, if the Chiefs don't have
And their
Carson,
wide
if the
receivers.
Chiefs
They're
don't
still
have
missing
Patrick
this
Mahomes
Deshaun
or
Jackson.
Tyreek Hill, they're not gonna make the playoffs.
Okay,
Or
whatever.
win the
Okay,
championship.
okay,
So,
fine.
I don't think there's any room for that one, buddy.
Okay.
All right.
Who would be your biggest loser this week?
Mitchell Trubisky. He showed again that he's not the quarterback of the future for the Chicago Bears, especially
Mitchell
against
Trubisky.
especially against the Philadelphia Eagles, who have probably the worst pass secondary in the whole entire NFL. You have the likes of Kirk Cousins and Dak Prescott lighting up the Eagles. You know there's some problems when you're not doing that. And there's also
Kirk Cousins is pretty good.
and
but,
if you also look in the draft, you have the likes of Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson, the future of the NFL, going after them at 13 and 10. The Bears made a mistake on that one, and I think they're looking back at them like, oh gosh, we need a quarterback this year.
I'll be honest, Trubisky is fun to watch for all the wrong reasons.
Kind of like Sam Darnold and Blake Bortles.
He's just funny to watch. I enjoy watching.
All right, Zach, who's your biggest loser?
My biggest loser of the week is the Houston Rockets. They have just looked completely out of sync with each other. James Harden is not playing well. He's shooting, I think, 35% from the field and 20% from three. And if he didn't have any free throws, he'd probably average like 12 points a game, let's be honest. But it's James Harden, so that's never going to happen.
Because he's good at drawing fouls, but okay.
Yeah, okay.
And the team is
if
solid.
That's your
Okay.
game. Russell Westbrook, let me get to my
God.
point about Russell Westbrook real quick.
Best point guard in the
He
league.
had the lowest plus-minus by a Rockets player ever.
And
in
guess
their last
what?
blowout
And guess
loss.
what? You know what's another stat? Steph Curry missed the game-tying three in Game 6 of the NBA Finals. You have a
Okay.
bad moment. You have a
Minus
bad game.
46.
You have a bad
The
game.
the
You
lowest
on multiple
plus-minus.
occasions you've said that plus minus is the worst stat.
It's
And you know
not.
why? And you know
But
why?
the
Because it
lowest
didn't favor
plus-minus.
Carmelo Anthony.
Where
and the
did Carmelo
only
Anthony
reason
come up in
the
this?
only reason why you're talking about
First
the
of all, get
Rockets,
Carmelo's
the
name out of
only
your mouth
reason why you're
again.
talking about the Rockets, and the only reason you dislike Russell Westbrook, Chris Paul, LeBron James, is because Carmelo Anthony, in your mind, you know deep down inside, is not a Hall of Famer, and because he played bad against the Rockets, and now he's not on a team, and no one wants him. This is why you're talking about him. And they've been solid this year. We all know that. It's one bad game on the road. It's not like they're getting blown out. So
I'm
there's
sick
that.
of hearing this ludicrous stuff that's coming out of your mouth right
What?
now.
That Melo's
you
not a
just
Hall of
said
Famer?
that Carmelo Anthony is not a Hall of Famer.
Okay,
You should
okay.
never be allowed to watch the NBA game.
Okay.
Never be allowed to watch the NBA game.
How many times has
This
he?
is a
How many
guy-
times?
This is a
how
guy
many
that
times has he
hangs
made the
his
NBA
hat.
Finals?
This is a
how
guy
many times
that
has he
hangs
made
his
the
hat
NBA
on the
Finals?
fact that LeBron James has lost in the NBA Finals 6 times.
Okay,
He hangs his
he's
hat on.
carried multiple teams to the
No,
finals.
he has not.
You don't know anything about basketball.
He has
If you think
multiple
LeBron
superstars
James
every
can win a
single
ring,
time.
you don't know anything about basketball. If you think LeBron James can win the
All I
ring
know is
in
he's 3 and 6 in the
2018
finals.
when he carried a bum team that would be a
A
lottery
bum team with Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving on it.
Oh yeah. Oh, you don't know anything.
And
about
again, you're talking about a finals loss.
Okay, so you okay?
A finals
okay,
loss.
okay. So
We're celebrating
wait,
finals losses now.
Are you saying that the team without Kyrie Irving? So in 2018 was Kyrie Irving on the Cavs?
Did they win the championship?
Was in
Did they win the
2018?
championship?
In 2018 was Kyrie Irving on the Cavs?
All in all, he's just one
Was
of
he
the-
on the team? Answer the question.
No.
Okay, so Kevin Love. Is Kevin Love on the Cavs right now?
Yes.
Okay, and how did they do last year without LeBron?
Not very good, but they
Okay,
lost a lot of
so
other pieces
you're putting
too.
LeBron on that team. That
Kevin
team
Love was out
makes
for
the
most of the
finals.
season, though, to be
Oh,
fair.
Okay, that team makes the finals. They get swept by the Warriors because Kevin Durant is too scared because he can't beat the.
He tore his Achilles.
Do you know what I'm talking about right now?
Maybe I
was he
don't.
hurt?
I'm
in
still
2000
shook from you
was
saying
he-
that Carmelo Anthony's
Was he
not a
hurt?
Hall of
Okay,
Famer.
wait. Let me ask you
How
this
could you
question.
say that
Let
in
me ask
any
you this
respect?
question. Hold on. Was Kevin Durant hurt in the 2018 NBA Finals?
No, he was not. And
Okay,
they
so
won
then
the
why would you
series.
bring the Achilles into this? There's literally no reason why you bring this Achilles.
I'm just after what you said, I'm not sure I can take anything you're saying seriously at this
okay.
point.
It's just salty Mellow fan. Sorry. buddy.
Okay. Those were our biggest winners and losers of the past week, kind of. After the break, we will talk about our biggest takeaways of the week.
Welcome back to the show. Let's get into our biggest takeaways. All right, Zach, what was the biggest takeaway of the week?
My biggest takeaway is shifting gears a little bit to the baseball diamond. Starting pitching is still king in Major League Baseball, and I'm sick of the notion that you can win without great starting pitching. Look at what happened in the World Series this year. You had great pitching all around. Justin Verlander, Garrett Cole, Max Scherzer, Patrick Corbin, of course, Steven Strasburg, who was the World Series MVP. Starting pitching wins you games,
Zach
and my
Greinke.
Yankees really need to learn that lesson. They really need to learn that lesson, and I think it's so abundantly clear that that's what they need to do for them personally and really for the rest of baseball. It's just that's the takeaway that all teams need to have is that starting pitching is king, and you can't go without it if you want to win in the postseason.
Would you rather have starting pitching or the bats?
Ideally, both. But
Well,
pitching,
I'm saying
pitching
like,
can cover
which
up
one,
for a
which
lot
one
of
do you,
flaws.
which one do you think is more important?
Pitching can cover up for a lot of flaws. So if I were to pick one, I would want good pitching.
All right.
What would be your biggest takeaway from the week?
LeBron James is still the best player in the NBA.
Of
After
course
this
we're talking about
dismal
LeBron
first
James.
opening night where the Lakers lost to the Clippers and
Without
everybody
Paul
was
George.
saying, without Paul George, okay. I said lost without the Clippers.
Yeah,
Didn't the
and they lost
Clippers
without Paul
lose to
George.
the Suns? Okay. Didn't they lose to the Jazz? All right. On to this. LeBron James, undoubtedly the greatest player of all time. He's showing why he is.
Undoubtedly.
Triple doubles against the Spurs and Mavericks. He's just tearing shreds of the Dallas
You see, this
teams.
is what I'm dealing with, folks.
Yet again. He's just not a scorer. He's a passer of the ball. He knows when to give it up, and he can always come in clutch.
You know what he's
Against
really
the
good
Mavs,
at?
a little step back, Jay, bang.
He's
game
really good
over.
at leaving tough situations for better ones.
Oh,
That's probably
really?
what LeBron James is best at in his whole career.
Oh yeah, because that's not the NBA right now.
Would
Because
that
he
be-
didn't play against great teams and he didn't have good teammates. So oh yeah, LeBron is so good. He should be able to do this. And something in LeBron's head is saying like, LeBron, you're just not good enough to beat Kevin Garnett in his prime.
What are you
Paul
talking
Pierce.
about? What are you
so
even
you, so
talking
you
about
expect LeBron without
This is
any
what
good
I'm dealing
teammates?
with.
Okay, so do you
He
expect?
says that
Okay,
LeBron-
wait. Let me
he's
ask this
saying that
question.
LeBron
Let me
has
ask
never
this
had
question.
good teammates. He's saying that.
He had to leave to good teammates.
Anyways, exactly. Anyways,
I don't know anything about football.
what would be your game of the week? Football. First of all, we're talking about basketball. But what would be your game
Okay,
of the
basketball.
week for this week?
This is not the NFL. It's Alabama versus LSU.
That's going to be a great game. I can agree with you on that one.
I agree with that one. All right, and then what would your game of the week be?
My game of the week is going to be a Monday Night Football matchup next week. San Francisco 49ers against the Seattle Seahawks. The 49ers are getting their biggest test yet. They're facing a Seahawks team that comes in hot. They might have the MVP favorite right now in Russell Wilson, who's playing the best ball of his career. That should be a great matchup in the NFC West and really could determine who's the favorite in the NFC going forward. Who knows?
And it could also give who's going to get the number one seed. And then here's another thing. They're both in the same division, so one of these teams is going to have to be in the wild card going away. So I think this, like
Absolutely.
what you said,
It's
that's
a
going to be a
huge
big game. And just another big game in the NFL. I know this sounds stupid, but it's Browns versus Bills at Browns. If Freddie Kitchen still wants a job in the NFL, he needs to win this game. And if the Bills want to make a playoff contention, they have to win this game.
I can agree with that, I guess. That's going to do it for this week's episode of It Is What It Is. Stay tuned for more analysis from all over the sports world 2 weeks from today. Once again, I'm Zach Mash.
And I'm Peter Pearn. Have a great night, everyone.
The Bills have never won a Super Bowl. Goodbye.
And Carmelo Anthony's on a team and has never been to the NBA Finals.
You already said that, so no one really cares.